can, within your own comfort and belief system, have a way of getting what you want based on your unique needs. Herb Cohen, Northbrook, Illinois, September 1980. Part 1. Yes, You Can. Chapter 1. What is negotiation? To get to the promised land, you have to negotiate your way through the wilderness. Your real world is a giant negotiating table, and like it or not, you're a participant. You as an individual come into conflict with others, family members, sales clerks, competitors, or entities with impressive names like the establishment or the power structure. How you handle these encounters can determine not only whether you prosper, but whether you can enjoy a full, pleasurable, satisfying life. Negotiation is a field of knowledge and endeavor that focuses on gaining the favor of people from whom we want things. It's as simple as that. What do we want? We want all sorts of things: prestige, freedom, money, justice, status, love, security, and recognition. Some of us know better than others how to get what we want. You are about to become one of these. Traditionally, rewards presumably go to those possessing the greatest talent, dedication, and education. But life has disillusioned those who hold that virtue and hard work will triumph in the end. The winners seem to be people who not only are competent, but also have the ability to negotiate their way to get what they want. What is negotiation? It is the use of information and power to affect behavior within a web of tension. If you think about this broad definition, you'll realize that you do, in fact, negotiate all the time, both on your job and in your personal life. With whom do you use information and power to affect behavior off the job? Husbands negotiate with wives, and wives with husbands. I hope your marriage is a collaborative win-win negotiation. You use information and power with your friends and relatives. Negotiations may occur with a traffic cop poised to write a ticket, with a store reluctant to accept your personal check, with a landlord who fails to provide essential services or wants to double your rent, with the professional who bills you for part of the cost of his or her education, with a car dealer who tries to pull a fast one, or with a hotel clerk who has no room, even though you have a guaranteed reservation. Some of the most frequent and frustrating negotiations occur within a family, where parents and children often unknowingly engage in this activity. Let me give you an example from my personal experience. My wife and I have 3 children. At 9, our youngest son weighed 50 pounds, remarkably light for a child his age. Actually, he was an embarrassment to our entire family. I say that because my wife and I like to eat, and our 2 oldest children have voracious appetites. Then there was this 3rd kid. People would ask us, "Where did he come from?" or "Whose kid is that?" Our son arrived at his emaciated state by developing a life strategy of avoiding vicinities where food might be served. To him, meals, kitchen, dinner, and food were profane words. Several years ago, I returned home on a Friday evening after an ascetic week of travel and lectures. It's lonely on the road, at least for some of us. So I pondered a potential negotiation with my wife later in the evening. As I entered our home, I was dismayed to find my wife curled up in a fetal position on the couch, sucking her thumb. I perceived that there might be a problem. "I've had a rough day," she murmured. To snap her out of her doldrums, I said, "Why don't we all go to a restaurant for dinner?" She and our 2 oldest replied in unison, "Wonderful idea." The 9-year-old dissented. "I'm not going to any restaurant. That's where they serve food." At this point, I lifted him bodily and carried him to the automobile, which is one type of negotiation. As we entered the restaurant, the 9-year-old continued to complain. Finally, he said, "Dad, why do I have to sit around the table with everyone? Why can't I be under the table?" I turned to my wife. "Who'll know the difference? We'll have 4 around and 1 under. We may even save money on the check." She was against this at the outset, but I convinced her that the idea might have merit. The meal began, and the first 10 minutes were uneventful. Before the second course arrived, I felt a clammy hand creeping up my leg. A few seconds later, my wife jumped as though she'd been goosed.